What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. I am one half of your hosts, your bartender, your virtual bartender, Mr. Nick Teodoro. Joining me, as always, is my tag team partner in life, my wife, Miss Nicole. It's WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania 40 is now complete. A new era in WWE has ushered in. Cody has completed the story. Damian Priest has cashed in his Money in the Bank contract to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. And Bayley, our girl, is back on top. We got a lot to get through. We're going to get into it one by one. Nicole, what are you thinking? What are you drinking tonight? WrestleMania is over.
WrestleMania is over. It's sad. It's sad to see it go, but it was so fun. And we're going to talk all the things and all my favorites. And I'm drinking my favorite, Tito's Cran and Orange juice. What about you, Mr. Nick?
Some red wine this evening, as usual. My J-Lore. So, getting right into it, opening match, as we said yesterday, or as I said correctly, World Heavyweight title was going to be on the line. Seth Rollins defending against Drew McIntyre, which saw a lot of twists and turns in the end, but did see Drew McIntyre for a brief period of time
hot second,
ending up on top as our new World Heavyweight Champion for a brief moment. A back and forth affair. Overall, kind of what you'd expect out of these two, studs in the ring. Again, Seth was selling the knee early. He hit the stomp and a pedigree. He hit a lot of heavy power moves, comes out looking strong. Both of them come out looking super strong in this match, even after Seth and all the stuff he's dealt with the night before. They kind of obviously alluded into that with the announcing, and obviously just it's the storyline from the night before, so we all knew that was going to happen. He had to get hit with multiple claymores to be put down, ultimately ending up walking out, and actually had a couple of nice moments in that match. I may have given it away, but to me, again, just absolutely phenomenal way to open the show. Nikki, your thoughts?
Well, first it scared me off the bat. Drew hit a claymore, and I said to you, oh my god, this is Sheamus Daniel Bryan all over again. And I was like, is he really going to lose in 2 seconds? And he kicked out. And I was like, okay, I know Seth wasn't winning this, but as my favorite, it's still oh. But then I think they had a fun little match. They went outside, and that's when Drew tweeted. At first, I didn't realize, but that was his wife who had his phone, and it was he tweeted bored at work, LOL or whatever. And then he was, jaw-jacking with Punk. He was like, oh, look at this. And he went to do the Future Shock DDT, which obviously is the one that hurt Punk. And then Seth hit a pedigree on the outside, which was so beautiful. I think he does it really well. And I think Drew sold it, landed well. And then go back into the ring and he hit another claymore. And I was like, oh, no. And it kicked out of that. But then again, it's, the stomach, the knee. And then finally, how many? I think it took 3.
It was claymores? At least 3. Yeah, it was at least 3 claymores that it took to put down Rollins. So
I was worried there was going to be that quick squash, Sheamus and Daniel Bryan. But I think they had a fun match.
No, absolutely. And I know WrestleMania is there's always grandeur. It's always a spectacle.
Yeah.
So, Nikki, I know you were raving about this the whole night.
It was fun. Okay, so again, I lived in Philly for a few years in another lifetime. But the Mummers Day Parade is a huge freaking thing in Philly. Huge, huge, huge. So for him to have people playing and dressed up, and then have them come walk him down and do the whole thing, I thought it was just I feel so him. I think it was a great nod to Philly. He fit right in. Then it was funny. They're high-fiving all the commentary, and CM Punk kept yelling, but I just thought it just fit the bill. A great entrance. Philly, so Seth Rollins. I loved it.
Well, you knew he wasn't going to disappoint with some sort of.
No, again, that's why, like.
And didn't last year he had the chorus, right? Singing his song. I think it was last year that he had the chorus.
And then he came out in that big red robe that was super, super long. I love him.
I love the fact that in this match at the end, he walks out and he kind of talks to Drew. He's like, you deserve it.
Yeah, and he looked at him and he's like, you deserve it. It's like your time, and he looks like he is crying, and I was like, oh, God. But it was just like, oh, it's your time, and then it's like, oh God.
Yeah, I mean, it was his time.
It was, but
until it wasn't.
So after he was handed the belt, he goes to kiss and he makes out with his wife for a little bit, and then of course he goes over to CM Punk and he puts the belt down on the announce table and pushes it over to Punk, and then very seductively crawls over to him.
Yeah. It's like, why didn't he do that to his wife?
And then he Pat was like, oh, you're like a panther. When he curls over to him, and then he's like, they're jaw jacking back and forth, and Drew's like, yeah, it's my time, and Punk is like, well, if it's your time, why are you talking to me? You're making this about me. And then
he strikes a really he strikes a strong pose.
No, he stands up and he does.
Well, no, after. That's after. At first, he does a normal. He's like, I want people. He's basically putting the title in front of him. He's like, I want this picture on my wall.
Oh yeah. When he's going, he's crouching and has the belt in front of Punk's face, and then he stands up and he does the.
Yeah. Then he does the cross chop. Yes, and that's what sets off Punk.
And then then he hits his leg, and then he falls on the announce table. He rolls off. Punk takes off his brace, hits him with the brace because he has a
metal brace on his right arm, which is kayfabe's storyline caused by Drew McIntyre.
I think that's real days.
Was it real? Well, either way.
It definitely happened in the match, and everyone's saying it was a future shock, but it definitely got injured in the match. Whatever, sees. But so then Punk starts stomping him, and then Judgment Day music hits. And Priest comes running with the referee at a bat out of hell, runs down.
It's a long distance. Shout out to the refs for doing that run.
Well, that's very famous, the Charles Robinson run that he did. So he comes running down, he hits Drew with the briefcase, and then says he's going to cash in. They announce he's cashing in. He rolls him into the ring, hits him with the South of Heaven, which I think is a beautiful move. Hits him, 1, 2, 3, your new champion. He takes the belt, and he runs back up the ramp, and Judgment Day is there to hug him, and him and Rhea are both there with their belts. They both have the world
Raw titles, whatever, the world heavyweight and the women's, I guess, world heavy Raw. So
they stand tall.
So it actually set the tone. I made a note. So after Priest cashes in, it set the tone for an emotional evening, I guess, for your girl, because I know you want to talk about it more. Samantha Irvin, her energy was just off the charts. You could tell how excited she is to just announce these moments. And later in the night with Cody winning, it was just phenomenal. So even that, she's like, David, and she you could just hear her, the raspiness in her voice. She's so excited for everybody.
Just she announces and I'm going to be honest with our regulars and our people. I wasn't a huge fan of her at first. I just felt like it was trying too hard, and I feel like as a woman announcer, they try to sound like Fink or try to sound like a man, and I was like, oh, her voice is she's trying to get her voice too deep. And then after she got moved to Raw, and I guess me seeing her more, and I was like, oh, she has personality. She's really good. And when she started doing Chelsea Green, she brings a lot to it, and she gets emotional about things, and the way she says Judgment Day, that would have bothered me 2 years ago, but now I'm just oh, she's amazing.
It seems like she's got a really strong relationship backstage with all the wrestlers too, and that's probably plays into a lot of it. And same thing with Justin Roberts, who we met on the Jericho Cruise a few years ago. You could tell that he builds a relationship with. He's a huge wrestling fan. He wrote that when he left WWE. It was his dream job, and he got it. And then he builds a relationship where he went in AEW, and he makes AEW great.
I liked they did it for night one. They did it for night two when she's in the ring announcing them. It was in that 4K that was so it looked a little different, and she just brings so much power to her announcing, and brings again gravity and gravitas to the proceedings, and I just wanted to give her a shout out because I think, and again, I was one of them that kind of like shit on her a little bit, and I don't think she deserves that whatsoever. I think she's fantastic, and if you don't like her, then you suck.
Fair enough. So moving on, so we needed some sort of cool down after all that energy to open the show. So just like I feel like last night or the night one, like I said, there's always a celebrity element. So we open, or the second not open, with our first cool down match, I guess, with the Pride, Bobby Lashley, and the Street Profits.
Are they still calling them the Pride?
Oh, I'm calling them. Well, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits taking on the Final Testament. Right off the gate, we get a crazy surprise as we're in Philly, and we thought, and shout out to our regular Steven, regular caller, calling us out of an ECW element in this match, but maybe not as much as you thought, Steve. Bubba Ray Dudley becomes the special guest referee for the match. Kind of what you'd expect out of a street fight, just kind of everyone getting their spots in.
Also, Snoop Dogg was
oh yeah, sorry.
I'm like, he's right in the middle of the photo.
Well, I mentioned celebrity, so I just completely...
Yeah, so he was the special announcer, and I guess him and Dr. Dre have an adult beverage, obviously gin and juice, that sponsored the match, and he was hysterical in commentary.
Yeah, he's like, watch your back. Watch back. Every time I was like, oh, you gotta watch back too.
He's like, oh no.
He like, it was just like the Captain Obvious type stuff, but he was just so funny.
And they like panned him, and he's high, and he just has like that little grin on his face, like he was having him. They brought up the table, and he's like, "Oh, it's like a picnic table. You're a picnic basket." And he's like, "Hey, Bobo!" It's just like, and then Corey was like, "Oh, Snoop Dogg's smarter than your average bear." And he's like, "You know it."
I felt like so in this match, there was a couple things as takeaways from it. Obviously, it's an Extreme Rules match, or street fight. So you're going to see a lot of the weapons, a lot of call out to ECW. There's a couple things, and I don't know if they meant to do it, but there was a couple call outs to some ECW originals like Sandman, like they had the Singapore Canes that they were going at.
A lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of it. And then Cross did his actually, I don't know if it was just a normal, but like he kind of did the pose, the Sandman pose for a hot minute. So, and then also she didn't do it with the cane, but the Russian leg sweep through the table spot that both women did. I just feel like it was kind of a callback. I don't know. That was his finisher in
yeah.
But like I feel like a lot of it was all of it kind of gave me some nostalgia to the ECW more than maybe I thought. Yeah. it was a nice. I don't know if they meant to, but it was a nice little touch
with Bubba getting involved.
Yes, and towards the end of the match, again, I didn't say it, but at the end of the match, Karrion Kross gives Bubba, which is the normal good guy special guest referee spot, right? Like giving him crap for not counting 3 when he thought it was a 3. And eventually Bubba puts on his glasses and distracts him just enough for the tables to turn. And they end up doing is it called the What's Up now? I guess it was just called the What's Up. So the Street Profits did the What's Up move. And then eventually Montez Ford with a frog splash through the second table after the first table just self-destructed.
Yeah, so that's what they did. After they did the What's Up thing and Dawkins came down like the Devon and hit him. And then Montez Ford did the Devon thing when the whole testify. And then Bubba hits Lashley, and then Lashley hits Montez, and Montez hits Dawkins, and it's like, Dawkins, get the table. And they all yell it together, and then they go down and get the table. They set it up. They put Karrion Kross on it. It breaks. And you're like, oh, no. So then they go down and get another one. And when they go down and get one, you still see Scarlett still on the table. And I was like, well, that's sounding high. So they go around her to get the other table, put it in. And then Montez starts beating him with the cane again, just like, stay down sort of deal.
For someone who doesn't wrestle, she takes a good amount of bumps, Scarlett.
Mm-hmm.
So, touche to her. Shout out to her.
And then, so they get the second table. It doesn't break. Montez does the frog splash, and then Bobby pins him 1, 2, 3. And
which should have been, and like it's always got to be Bobby. Bobby's got to be the dominant person in that.
Agreed. But then the photo that Nick had that Snoop Dogg gets in the ring and with Bubba and they all, pose. But again, it's your fun little celebrity match. It's fun little callbacks. It served its purpose. I don't know. I know they took AOP out, but I feel like AOP, again, with the table breaking, but AOP was gone for a while.
Yeah, I hope that, again, I'm down with AOP, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
It just doesn't look like anyone else's.
I know.
At least booking's not.
Yeah. But again, it served its purpose. You get your WrestleMania payday. Snoop Dogg's there.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was a typical match. So we start getting, I guess, when you think about it, we had kind of two matches, even though it was a cash-in, but it's kind of like two matches. The first match went a good amount of time, and then you have the cash-in. So everyone's still riding that high from the first match. So now we get into, I guess, maybe an earlier mid-card than you thought, because we had one less match than the night before, too. So we get us to a not as highly anticipated match in LA Knight and AJ Styles, with what I think you and I both correctly predicted as LA Knight going over on AJ Styles, the guy with the most momentum, the most potential moving forward, gets the win. Nikki, your thoughts on this match?
Again, I think it's a fun little match. I think it did start hot because, again, so much of the buildup of this was kind of been like that guerrilla kind of warfare. Like, LA showed up at his house, and then they got into it at WWE World over the weekend. So, like, AJ debuted new music. You couldn't hear it because he immediately come running down the ring to attack LA Knight. And again, it was like that kind of like old school. He was working the knee because with the calf crusher, he was working the leg. They're on the outside. They pulled up the padding. They did the back body drop over it. Knight bit his head.
So this whole event or weekend remind me so much of an old school WrestleMania, and it made me so happy, the nostalgia of everything. And this match was just another, like, along those lines of just an old school, rivalry of two guys who just had a grudge match, bad blood against each other, and just wanted to beat the hell out of each other. And it was run and orchestrated like an old school match, like with the mats coming up and that being a big spot back in the day. So, like, I appreciated that. The purist in me really appreciated that. But other than that, it wasn't. I think we all expected more from LA Knight, and there was a lot of, like, great spots in this match, but we all wanted more from him at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah,
sorry, not this match. This match is what kind of I expected, right?
Yes, since you just put it up, like, that was beautiful. When he jumped, well, first he like bit AJ's forehead, and then like AJ kind of knocked him off, and he does that beautiful leap that he does, so he goes back onto the turnbuckle, and then I guess it's an avalanche German suplex, right?
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah. Super German. Super German suplex.
Anyway, so he did the thing, which was really beautiful. That was like a fun spot.
I think that'd be kind of a cool spot. Like, how like Seth does a Falcon Arrow, do a German suplex from the top rope into another German suplex on the after you do. Anyway, I digress. But overall, again, a solid match.
It was a fun little match, and I think it gives him momentum. I'm hoping he has something big for SummerSlam. I'm hoping he gets that belt off Logan. I don't know what AJ kind of does from here, but AJ already publicly said he's like winding down his career. So I hope he just wants to wrestle people that he wants to wrestle. But again, I think AJ can take a loss.
Yeah, I mean, he's still one of the top 10 wrestlers in, I would argue, the world today. So you could still put him in the main event at any point in time. So yeah, he doesn't really lose any. I think he's going to go on some sort of, I mean, he's a heel right now, so that maybe some resurgence of some sorts in the next couple months towards SummerSlam, but we'll see. So we'll call that the lull, because to me, at this point, everything starts picking back up, and we see the triple threat match: Logan Paul, Kevin defending the United States title against Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, which I've got to give credit where it's due. This is where Nikki and I really differed. And Logan Paul sneaks by yet again. And I was worried, and I said this yesterday on the show, and I said I was worried that because Grayson Waller and Austin Theory won on Saturday, that the three of them are going to be they're not an unofficial stable, kind of like a stable together with the belts for a little bit and give them some sort of run. And this is exactly what's happening. So I was.
They have nothing to do with this match.
No, but I just feel like they're together. They've been together. They've been his friends, helping him throughout this whole feud.
Yeah, so it's pretty deadly. All the heels of SmackDown are best friends. They all work together.
They're not liars.
But I don't know. This was a really fun match. I like this match a lot.
You have two. I mean, a Hall of Famer and Randy Orton.
I think you have two. KO was right there with you. Him. I would say KO is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I guess I think I'd want to see more in the what he does in the next 5 years of his career. But I think borderline, yeah, for sure. That's a good debate. Is KO a Hall of Famer? We'll talk about that at some point. As of right now, that's a good debate to have.
Coco Beware is a Hall of Famer, and he just had a burning breaking.
Yeah, but that was when there was less titles, so I don't know.
KO's had them all. Oh my god, we can't.
But all right, we're not going to get into that right now.
People, comment down below. Tell Nick he's wrong. No. KO, Hall of Famer. First ballot. You're on drugs.
Unbelievable. So, all right. So that will be one topic. We will do that at some point in time. So I have a couple notes. So I thought it was hysterical. Logan Paul comes out on his prime truck, and he does like a China-like entrance where he shoots back at the thing to shoot off fire. Again, that was boring. But I thought it was hysterical how KO comes out, and he comes out on this go-kart later.
I do very much love that. Was also very much an ECW entrance. He had the ECW colors and the barbed wire, the red and purple with the Tron that was on his trunks. It was a little callback. And then he looked, because on Friday, him and Randy Orton were flying around in a cart going from Wells Fargo to Link. And again, for people that don't know, Wells Fargo and Link are basically across the parking lot from each other. So that's why there was like a stick, he taped something on it that said KO on the front. So he drives down, and then Randy Orton's music hits. So he puts in reverse, goes back up to get Randy. Randy holds on, and KO just floors it. And you could just tell Randy Orton is like, it's going too fast.
It was that's scary. Those things go a lot faster than you think.
I don't know. Maybe because working at a country club, we always drove those, and I was like, those things fly. You don't think so? But you hit I may or may not have flipped one at one point, but it's fine. We're fine.
So, kind of what you'd expect in terms of like the booking of as a triple threat, because Owens and Orton have had their issues with Paul, so they team up in the early going. Take him out for a good portion, and then eventually Orton tries to RKO.
He breaks up the pinfall, and he's like, "Well, one of us is gonna win it." So if we're just because up to that, maybe the first 5 minutes they were tagging, and then Orton breaks up that pinfall, and then he's like, "Oh, well, I guess we might as well. One of us has to win. We might as well do this," and then they start hitting each other. So
they end up. Then officially becomes more of an official triple threat match.
Yeah.
As like what you'd expect. And go back and forth. At some points in time, Paul gets back into it with a double buckshot lariat, which is not his finisher, but seems like his finisher.
Like his signature, I would
say. Yeah. Probably signature move is fair. He also has like some combinations that he creates are pretty impressive. I don't know if it's just because he's purely athletic or whatever, but he studied wrestling enough that he picks it up so well. Like he does the swanton frog splash combination that I'd never seen anyone do before. Mm-hmm. Maybe RVD did something like I don't even think RVD would, because the frog splash was his finisher. So the way he kind of creates with his athleticism is impressive. He's unbelievable. He's
Mhm.
I say it, and he's on like Kurt Angle levels of like picking it up that fast and just being
again, like in my brain I have to separate like the person. Like I know he's done some crap and he's kind of crappy, but I feel like the work and the respect that he does put into this, that I'm like, he's great.
Yeah,
because again, he like trained with Shawn Michaels. He goes to the ring. He like does put the work in. Like it's not some BS celebrity like Snooki crap. Like he cares. He wants this to be good. He wants to put on good matches.
that's why I think he might be. He's probably going to be a future world champion. One of the world titles I think is in his future. By the way that he just.
Listen, I can do a U.S. belt. As of right now, you're not taking. I don't want him to have the world championship. Like he's not taking.
It's not like we're talking about David Arquette here. We're talking about someone who's a legit.
True.
If you didn't, and we talked about this last. If you didn't say this guy's a YouTuber, celebrity, whatever,
I know.
you would say he's a top tier talent. So
I
don't know. What do you all think? Is Logan Paul? Where does he rank? Is he the greatest celebrity turned wrestler of all time?
What I would love, because it's him and Bad Bunny would be your tops, and then he obviously is able to do more and put more into it than Bad Bunny was able to. But if Bad Bunny would be able to do as much as Logan Paul, who would be better? Like that's what interests me, because obviously Bad Bunny is one of the most selling record, and he did that whole big world tour. People were hoping he would be at Mania, but he had a gig somewhere. But if like Bad Bunny would be able to put the time, like being on TV basically every week, every other week, he was basically on every week leading up to Mania. But being able to do that Logan Paul schedule, like who would be better, if that makes sense?
It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to know. I don't know. I think Logan Paul's ceiling is a main eventer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Bad Bunny would be. I think just sheer size and everything else. Like I think he's a smaller stature guy. I think Bad Bunny would be more of a mid guy. I'm not sorry. I know he's not. I know Rey Mysterio and all that. I don't know, but like, come on.
But getting back to the match, there was that one point that I thought was fun. I don't know if you had the picture up or not. Jackson.
Jackson's been bad.
1 second.
He's in trouble.
Sorry, our dog just had surgery last Thursday, and he's not supposed to be doing things that he's doing. Sorry. So at one point, KO was seated on the turnbuckle, and then Logan Paul was like leaning against the turnbuckle, and like Randy Orton was just like going back and forth and punching them both, and Pat was like, he's punching two men at once in the face, and then he finally gets them. KO gets them both down, and he does the beautiful. I think this is a WrestleMania of the moonsault, because basically every match had like a moonsault.
There was a lot of moonsault.
Like Andrade did a ton. We'll get to EO doing a bazillion. Like his was beautiful. I love like obviously Corey said like he's like 270 pounds and did like this beautiful moonsault. But like that was a fun spot.
Yeah, I think overall like this is where it started to turn. To me, like in terms of the matches getting a little bit more like.
Do you want to talk about the Prime Bottle Man?
What's his name? Speedy.
I am Speed. I've never heard of this man in my life, and I know last year it was like KSI. Also had no idea who KSI was. We're real cool guys. So he took off the thing. Like
you can see him in the back.
He tried to stop Randy Orton, and this dude takes off the thing, so you saw who he is. I am.
Yeah, which no one knows.
So then he pushes Randy Orton, and I feel like he was supposed to do that, but I don't know if it was with more force. But Randy looked pissed.
Yeah, it was a little.
And then he was like barking at Randy Orton, and then Randy barked back, and I was like, "What is happening?" And then he, RKO by. Yeah.
It's just a classic. I guess this has been the theme for WrestleMania has been callbacks, and like that's what I loved about this WrestleMania overall is it was a callback to everything that we've seen in
last Mania,
to Mania's past, not just last ones.
I'm saying that or KSI in the bottle. So who's gonna be in it next year? But then, and of course he uses the brass knuckles. Randy gets the brass knuckles off him. He hands it to the referee. The referee kind of looks at it and like goes to look like he hands them back to Randy and then puts them in his pocket. But
yeah, I mean, he always has the brass knuck spots now. That's another classic one for him. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, I just think again what I expected from the veterans that were in this to make this match go well. And again, Logan Paul comes out looking like a star again.
Yeah, I think it's a good match. I liked it a lot. I think a lot of fun spots, a lot of good wrestling, and I think, you know who's going to win.
All right, so moving on. Now we get into the 2 championship matches.
Yep.
The women's and men's. Mm-hmm. So moving along, we get to finally one half of the stories have been completed. Mm-hmm. Our Royal Rumble winners, men's and women. Our women's Royal Rumble winner, Bayley, ends up back on top. Our girl.
Yeah, which I also forget because, sometimes women's wrestling is chugging along. And this was Bayley's first singles match at Mania. And how many Manias that she's been at, it was always like, she was tagging with Sasha Mercedes. And then she was like, when she was injured, she was hosting Ding Dong Hello with Hulk Hogan. And like, for her to be in the company for so long and remain for so long that this was her first singles match kind of took me back a little bit. I was like, oh, sometimes women's wrestling needs to be a little better. And I think that's trying to get like there was the 2 tag matches or the 2 title matches, and then they had the 1-6-man. I was like, we need to get more women's wrestling on Mania. But I digress.
I was kind of surprised. A couple things. One, kind of surprised there was no damage control.
Which I honestly...
At all.
Personally, I liked. I don't know, maybe they got too beat up the night before, but I was worried that there would be some shenanigans. And I liked that it was just... Especially because there's so much going to happen at the next match. I think they need to just kind of keep this clean. How
much of that had to do with the main event being... so booked up.
Well, I don't know if maybe something we'll see on SmackDown that, EO told them to stay. They're like, oh, you told us to stay backstage. You told us not to interfere, that you could do this on your own.
Yeah, like some closure to that.
Something like that.
Bayley had an interesting entrance with an Egyptian.
Corey Graves said it was something, there's a park in San Francisco that has a pyramid because she's from the Bay Area. And she's a 49ers fan. But, I really didn't get the thing. But also I said to Nick, what future NXT people or future champions, because if the call back to WrestleMania 30, when you had Sasha, Alexa, and Charlotte come out with Triple H. And then they all turned out to be champions.
I think it was Dalton Castle's boys. They were just let go, and they showed up, and you'd never know if it was them if they put the masks on, right?
I don't think they're that big, babe. But it's just interesting, they'll probably come out in the next couple days or eventually, because, CM Punk was in John Cena's entrance, and, Dean Ambrose was one of the druids, and, the girls were with Triple H, so it would be interesting to see, who was that, but it just felt like a weird entrance, because I thought she was, Paramore. She, wanted to come out to Paramore. So I thought they were
She felt like it felt to me like she felt awkward doing it too. She's like, thank you. And then
I know, and then they all bow down, and then but again, she debuted a new song, which I don't know. Again, I don't know if Edzon can correct me. I don't think it was a Paramore song. But then also when she won, you heard her new music playing, so it just felt like this foreign music kind of playing. I don't know. I don't think.
Yeah.
She needed a new song, but they probably should have debuted it prior or post EO and Damage Control turning on her.
It's hard to debut a new song, I feel like to write a song for a face in general,
introduce new music, and then I don't know, it was weird. But the match was a fun match. I think again, a lot of Io did so many moonsaults. She did a standing one. She did one for the second turnbuckle. She did a bunch from the top turnbuckle. Again, hers is called Over the Moonsault, and she's a beautiful moonsault. But Bayley kept kicking out.
Her counter to the rose plant
was beautiful,
unbelievable.
That was so good. And then also and I do love Bayley. You know, I love Bayley. Our cat is named Bayley because of her. I don't think she has good finishers.
The Bayley to belly?
You
don't like the Bayley to belly?
She brought the Bayley to belly because that was her finisher when she was a face. I'm like, it works on Io because Io was smaller, but it's not like she can do that to Rhea Ripley. Or, or she probably has them. There's probably footage of her doing to Nia Jax 1,000 times. But I'm just it doesn't. Or now they're building Jade up like this monster. I don't know. Doing that to Jade is not going to look like a finisher. And I honestly, rewatching it, because again,
the rose plant is good.
I don't really like it. To be honest, I feel like it's a lot of setup for nothing. You have the arm and the thing, and I could tell me I'm wrong. Again, I love Bayley. I don't like her finishers. I like the elbow drop. She did the elbow drop and then finally hit the rose plant. I like that she does the again, but Kyrie's elbow drop is better. But I don't know. I'm shitting on Bayley.
No, I actually really. This looks pretty darn good to me.
No, I think hers is good.
I think it's better than Kyrie's. Who's got the better elbow drop? Put it in the chat. Let us know.
But I also wanted to say, it's such the European thing. They sing, "Hey, hey, Bayley, I want to know, be my girl," and I sing that to our cat Bayley all the time. So I just they chanted that the whole. I think this is obviously her getting out of damage control turned her face, but I think her winning, them chanting, I think this really cements. I think. She's back as a face. I don't see her coming out with her floaty things in her side ponytail anymore, but I think she's firmly in the face camp now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the crowd was over for her, over the moon for her. So yeah, I think now, and you need it's easier to build heels than it is to build faces.
I'm worried what because Bayley has there's. The women roster is stacked. There's so many people that can come after her on SmackDown. Obviously, you have Jade, Bianca, Naomi, Tiffy time. I want her. I think she's going to win the Money in the Bank. But I don't know, where does Io go from here? I don't want to. They're going to do a rematch at Backlash.
Yeah, they're probably the classic rematch, and then who knows what.
But I don't know what this
that
really
group
leaves
will
for
do.
Io.
Or maybe they'll do a Freebirds type deal with the tag titles.
Yeah. I don't think they're holding those belts long either. But also, I don't know off the top of my head, but I think post-Mania, I think maybe in May, they're doing a draft again.
So, well, here's the thing. I think they're going to still hold them. Even if they don't hold the belts and maybe whoever, Jade, Naomi, whoever knocks them off, I still see them, at least the Kabuki Warriors, challenging again. Because that's a pure tag team that's together and has credibility and in a very weak division. The only other one is oh my gosh, the girls who just lost it to them.
Kitten Carter and Katana Chance.
Yes. Those two girls have phenomenal chemistry. And I feel like they won the title so fast, and I didn't even.
Yeah, they got it so fast and lost it so fast.
But other than that, there's no tag teams in the division. I'm half waiting for them to bring back the Iconics. Actually, could be a surprise return tonight.
She's pregnant.
Oh, again? Oh. There we go. Won't be a surprise return tonight.
Yes, Peyton Royce. What's her real name in real life? The other one's Jessica McKay. She's pregnant with Sean Spears. They're having their second baby together, so that's not going to happen.
All right. Well, wishful thinking.
Sorry. To burst your bubble. I love the Iconics. And when they're done having babies, because literally she had the first baby with Sean Spears, and then Billie Kay had a baby, and then Peyton Royce got pregnant again. So it might be a little bit before we see them, but I would love to see them back because I was really upset when they let them go. I was really upset when they broke them up. That one Mania is so sad. I felt
like they were part of the reason why the women's tag team.
Well, they won whatever Mania it was when they took them off Bayley and Sasha, and apparently they had that infamous tantrum.
Like, I just felt like when they talked about doing a women's tag team division, like that's what I envisioned was the Iconics. Like, oh, they came up together. They came,
but they got them pretty quickly.
Yeah, we need to. So now we get into it.
We're getting into it.
The craziness, the main event, ladies and gentlemen. Cody Rhodes has completed the story.
Thank God.
Yes, thank God. Everyone's happy. At least in this household, we're happy. Are you happy about it? It seems like there's people going nuts on the internet about this that still wanted Roman to retain for the next year and break Hogan's record. And I did not want to see that. Don't care enough to see that. This is what I wanted. This is what I think I could speak for Nicole that we wanted in this house. The Nick Club wanted this. Mm-hmm. But how we got here,
woo, girl,
was absolutely nuts. So let's try and take it through as much as we can because we watch this a lot. And just what I will say is for this pay-per-view, and we were talking about yesterday, like grading it and doing things like that, and how I graded matches, and I don't give out A's easily, and I gave out an A to this match, and I would still give it an A without all the extra that happened with it. So getting right into it, we open up. Cody comes out, an old school, a new mask, an American Nightmare mask, not shown in this picture probably because WWE.com doesn't want that shown, but like Brandy Rhodes comes out by his side with him, gets a standing ovation, which deservedly so.
Yes.
We knew there was going to be some sort of family element to this whole match. The bloodline was there. We knew, but we were wondering what was, Cody's backup going to look like. Would Dustin get involved? Would Brandy get involved? Who else could potentially get involved?
So yeah, this entrance he credits what he does later. He credits Triple H. He says Triple H is one of his favorites. That's why in AEW he broke the throne. But this felt very Triple H-esque because he would always come out with the skulls and the crown, and this felt, and then he would always have Stephanie with him. So this felt very much like a mirror of that. I love seeing Brandy Rhodes. I very much love Brandy Rhodes, and I think she got a lot of crap when they did leave AEW. It was like, oh, Cody's great, and he's a thing now, and I feel like a lot of people shit on Brandy. So I feel like her coming out, because apparently she almost, for when he debuted 2 years ago, 2 years? Yeah, 2 years ago. 38. She had gear made to come out with him, and at the last second, they told her like not to come out with him. So I feel like her coming out with him now
just kind of cements
it. It's this status, and like, you can tell they're just so in love with each other. They, again, I love my wrestling. I'm digressing. So
we know you love your wrestling couple so much.
So again, he takes off the thing, he hands it to Brandy, then his action music hits, which we were worried about because there was rumors that Downstate was going to play, and we were really worried that it was not going to sound as great.
Live. And they did a remix because they just released a remix kind of version on like Friday. I want to say that didn't live up to the hype.
So I'm glad it was just his normal music. So he comes down, normal music, and then Roman Reigns comes out to the Philadelphia Children's Orchestra, which was cool, but kind of felt a little weird.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought, again, like you knew they were going to do some grand entrance for him. So they had,
last year,
all the violin.
When he did the piano last year, was that Gunter? Am I confusing people? Anywho.
No, the only piano I'm thinking about is Bobby Roode's Glorious.
Different. So obviously they come down, they do the big entrance, and then they
proceed to have a really good
a fun
opening match. They still had bruises. I don't know on Cody's ribs from the night before, from everything. So that still led to, again, building up the hype of like the beatings that he's taken and things like that.
They go kind of back where Rock and Seth were last night. They they're brawling in the crowd, and they were on whatever trunk, and then
which I thought that was a table, and then he suplexes him.
Yeah, that's a trunk.
Yeah, I thought it was for some reason the lungs.
But lighting sounded quite bad. But it's like they're Roman's telling people to get out the way, that he's gonna superplex him off this thing onto the floor, and then Cody keeps, when he puts up his leg and he dodges it, and then he hits. Oh Jesus! He hits
just like that
with this suplex, and then Roman's yelling, and they brawl back into the ring, and like Roman hits a crossroads, and like. Cody kicks out, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a shit move or a bullshit."
Yeah,
move
that was so. That's what he says. He goes, "That move sucks. It don't beat anybody." And I really appreciate that, because like then like it's WrestleMania, so you're gonna start seeing that, that everyone breaking out the moves that you've never seen before, like using someone else's finisher. So later in the match, like Cody hits Roman with the spear as well.
Yeah.
But it was just a nice, like, that's the veteran ad libs that, like, they talk about like I guess like great comedic actors or actors in general that they could just improv and do it well. And that it's like something like that is just, to me, that's what makes Roman Reigns so great.
Yeah, his shit talk is so good. And then I lost my train of thought now.
Oh, sorry. Well, they're battling back and forth. Ultimately, it looks as though Rhodes is going to take the upper hand, and
because that's what the thing was for last year. He hits the one crossroads. He hits the second one, and then
like as he's going to go for the triplets, Jimmy Uso comes in, and so as expected, the breakdown begins where Jimmy Uso starts fighting and beating up. Changing the tides for the bloodline, really for Roman, until Jey Uso's music gets hit. We see the culmination, and for me, this honestly. So yesterday we talked yesterday about like how their match was kind of anticlimactic, and a lot of people expected more. I felt like this may have it didn't improve the match at all, but this might have taken it just to a slightly different level to me, because it may have just given it that crescendo to their feud, their blow off to their feud at WrestleMania is the spear through the table off the stage. So Jey takes out Jimmy. Odds are even once again. Looks like Cody's going to complete the story until Cody actually spears Roman through the barricade and then brings him back in. Sorry, backtracking a little bit. Hits the crossroads again, is about to complete the story, and we see a blast from the past from last year.
Yep.
The old Samoan Spike. He hit it on the like and subscribe button, and you better too. But Solo Sikoa comes in, hits the Samoan Spike, and basically leaves Roman on top of Cody, expecting for the pin. 1, 2, but Cody kicks out. Solo's upset, which his reactions are great.
Yeah,
he's just stone-faced.
He was just like, because basically he pulled Roman over Cody and basically just turned his back. And then it's like the kick out, he doesn't hear the bell, and he just does this slow turn around, and he does this whole like, and he's like hitting his face. And then I love this bit, he's yelling at Roman to like, get up, end the story. And Roman's like, I know. They're just like yelling at each other. So then finally Roman gets up. He goes to the spear. It's because he spears him and they Samoan Spike him at the same time. So it's a double whammy thing. And then,
which again, how much like Cody's gonna take the absolute biggest ass whipping in this match.
Yeah. So it's the same. Solo turn his back again. Cody kicks out.
2, Cody kicks out. Until we heard there might be some rumors of someone coming to help out. Till old friend John Cena, of all people.
John Cena?
Shows up to exact. I don't know if is he showing up to help Cody Rhodes or to exact revenge on Solo. Because remember, Solo was his last match and it beat Cena down. So technically it was a callback to Cena's last match where he just got beat to hell.
Solo.
So comes out, eventually gives the attitude adjustment FU, old school FU, to Solo through the table, evens the odds until the final boss shows up. So The Rock shows up, and we get a call back to WrestleMania 29 and 30, once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime.
28, 29.
28, 29. 29 was the one I covered.
I feel like it's such a flip-flop because I feel like John Cena was so in shape in those two matches, and then Rock wasn't. And now I feel, not saying that John Cena is not in shape, but Cena used to be bigger than Rock, and now it's the opposite.
I don't know. I just feel like The Rock's always in phenomenal shape. I don't know. I would never.
They're both. God, I'm one to fucking talk, but
Same.
like I think they're both in shape for people and humans and whatever. I'm saying with their feud in 28-29, it feels very much like Rock has been here more than now because that was their whole kind of thing. Like Rock's not here, you're not here, and now obviously with him being on the board at TKO, that's now like Rock is here. Rock is always here. And now like Cena's like the one that's the celebrity coming back. So I don't know if it's going to lead to a match. I doubt it's going to lead to a match, but I think it's a fun little.
It's a nice twist. And honestly, what we talked about is an old school WrestleMania feel to this WrestleMania where there's callbacks to everything. And this is just yet another in the whole line. And there's still more to come in this match. So Rock comes out. The final boss is pissed off at John Cena. He delivers. Yeah, who doesn't nowadays? Cena tries to hit him, gets hit with his own rock bottom. And Cena is done. And now all of a sudden, here we go again. We hear the music, and we thought, no. We hear the Shield music first. Sorry, yeah, I don't have a graphic for it, but
yes,
we had to reduce our graphics down.
Sorry,
but so we hear the Shield music: Sierra, Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta,
Shield,
and honestly, I'm pretty sure, and I know a bunch of people on Twitter wrote this. Like, did you not kind of half expect Dean Ambrose, John Moxley?
You wanted Mox to be there. It wasn't going to happen.
I know it would have been an awesome callback, but anyway, it's Seth Rollins dressed in a Shield garb, beat up from earlier in the night, comes out and gets intercepted by a Superman punch from Roman Reigns.
I don't think the camera angle was too great because they were so focused on Rock that you didn't see Seth come down, Seth get a chair, or how he had the chair. You just saw spear. And I feel like that was a little crappy.
The punch, Yes. Yeah, it was
really just
it was very poorly cinematized.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good word. But yeah, so Rollins is absolutely out from the beating that he's taken. There is nobody left to help our boy Cody until the Undertaker shows up. Which there was rumors it could have been Stone Cold Steve Austin, maybe a few others. Who knows?
If you believe that truck.
Yeah, if you believe the product placement of Stone Cold's face. But the gong, the judge, jury, and executioner of all WrestleManias, the Undertaker shows up, which I think is the perfect person, to be honest. Like, the lights are going out. I mean, yeah, would I have loved to see Stone Cold's the glass hit and Stone Cold come out? And that's some nostalgia too, but absolutely. But the whole dark element, the Undertaker, everything he did, it fits perfectly into place. Chokeslam, would I like to see a little bit more than a chokeslam? Yeah, a tombstone. We all know the tombstone, but chokeslam's a Rock. That's enough to take down the final boss and take him out of the scene. And it leaves.
It goes black again, and then all of a sudden they're both gone. And there was footage that they like the Undertaker running, like back up the ramp and back up that sideway. He's just like, ooh. Anyway,
so they're both down, and you can kind of partly see it in this graphic already with Taker putting him down. There's a steel chair in the middle of the ring. Cody and Roman are left alone. Roman gets to the chair first, and he has the opportunity to hit one of the two. Seth is getting up. Cody is getting up. And opportunity taken. he chooses to not go after his opponent, but after his former friend in Shield-like fashion from, sheesh, how many years back? 10. Roman chooses to hit Seth Rollins with the chair, which opens up the door for Cody.
Let me talk about this one.
Go ahead.
So they debuted Seth, Roman, and Dean Ambrose, now known as Jon Moxley. Their first Mania was WrestleMania 30. So it's literally 10 years. They debuted at the Survivor Series, then leading into Mania. So again, this is their 10th WrestleMania, basically, when, they're not injured or whatever. But it's so layered and so beautiful. And I was talking to Nick about this before. Obviously, we'll get to that in a second. Obviously, shield. But Seth said to Cody, it's like, I will be your shield. I will protect you from Roman. I will protect you from my brother. And then he comes out in the garb, I wish they showed it, had the chair, then obviously got the punch, and then was on the sideline. So you see him, basically, he's trying to curl up the ropes to stand back up. So his back is towards Roman. So he's looking at Cody, he's looking at Roman. He's looking at Cody, looking at Seth. And then he sees the chair, and just the callback to the Shield breakup, because Roman's back was turned, Seth hit him. So then he takes his eye off the ball to get revenge, to hit Seth, and then Seth is being the Shield member and also being the Shield for Cody. So it's like that double meeting. So he hits Seth with the chair, gives Cody that extra 30 seconds, a minute
to breathe,
to get back up, and hit some triple crossroads.
So ultimately, what we end up with is what we were hoping to see. Cody completing his story.
Yeah, he hit the 3 crossroads, 1, 2, 3.
And here we are now.
Cried.
In a perfect hour. Well, we had some technical difficulties getting on early, but an hour away from the Raw after WrestleMania, which we all know as wrestling fans is perhaps, if not the greatest Raw of the year.
Last year wasn't that great. There has been in the past. I'm hoping, again, Triple H, they talk about this new era, the Triple H era, this renaissance, however you want to say it. I'm expecting big things tonight.
As am I. So before we get into our predictions tonight, just do some quick hitters, some wraps. So now that WrestleMania 40 has wrapped, we're going to ask this to all of you, and I'm going to ask it to you, Nikki. What was the best match of WrestleMania 40 weekend?
Oh, weekend. Again, I feel like you have to give this to this main event. I think Gunther, Sammy was amazing. I think Becky Rhea was amazing. But again, you have to give it to the Sunday night. Your Sunday night main event, your champion, Cody Rhodes, finishing the story.
So you're going with Cody Rhodes.
Cody.
I would tend to agree. I would give a B+, a solid B+ to the ladder match, the 6-pack ladder match, which I thought had a lot of great spots, and it was a great callback. But yeah, I'd agree. I think this was, to me, my match of the weekend. It was what everyone was looking forward to, and it delivered every step of the way. On that end.
The shout out he did, it was very much WrestleMania 10 at the end. Like, all the baby faces came out, had, like, it was Randy and Sammy had him on the shoulder. And then Jay and Sammy, and there's like Randy and Sammy, and then his mom came in. He gave his mom the belt. Brody Lee Jr. was there. His sister Teal and her kids were there. His mom. Like, it was just like a very beautiful moment. He calls out Bruce Pritchard and Triple H, and he hugs Michael Cole for a very long time. It just very, very, and LA Knight was there. Punk came out. Like, it felt very much like all the babyfaces are together. Like, this is our guy. Let's cheer. Like, new era. And it was a nice way to end.
So we kind of touched your Big Nick energy moment of the night.
Yeah, my Big Nick energy moment really was the cash in, because a lot of people didn't think he was gonna do it, or think if he did, he wasn't gonna win, or like everyone kind of like crapped on him a lot. And I just think it was like the perfect opportunity. Like obviously assist to Punk, but he came out, did his big finisher, like kind of like again a lot of callbacks. This is the second time this happened at Mania. Obviously Seth was the first one. I think it was just like perfect. I'm excited to see what he does with it. I hope they give him something with it. They said he was one of the people in the press conference last night. He's the second Puerto Rican born champion since Pedro Morales. Shout out, his wife was my 4th grade teacher. But again,
Nice.
Pedro Morales was like feels like 1,000 years ago. Again, like we talked about with Bianca and Naomi and Jade, like representation. Like let's see some new faces. Let's see something different. Like I'm excited to see where this goes. Again, I really wanted Drew, and maybe Drew will win it at Clash at the Castle. Words. But I don't know. I think it's something. I'm sad for Drew, but I'm very interested in where this goes. And people didn't think he was going to do it, so he's my big energy moment.
Fair enough. For me, it had to be like the main event had so many twists and turns.
Mm-hmm.
Between the spear and everybody else showing up.
Everyone's spearing each other.
I just think ultimately, for me, the callback to The Undertaker at WrestleMania and having everybody come out, and we weren't sure if there was going to be a bunch of people coming in or what was going to happen. And like there was rumors, and like I feel like often we're kind of disappointed. We're like, oh, Stone Cold's coming back, or this guy's coming back, and so and so is free that weekend, is going to debut, and it never happens. They delivered on it, and The Rock even alluded like there's going to be a lot of surprises, and like they delivered on everything. So that was my big Nick energy moment. It's just like, who's going to come back to stop The Rock? Because I thought it might have been Rollins that they were going to go with, and just like, they have Rollins, you have Jey Uso.
But it was layered.
Yeah, it was layered enough that you could, again, like the final boss has to be beaten by like a final someone who's like at that level. And The Undertaker's a Hall of Famer, so it had to be another Hall of Famer. So for me, that was absolutely the biggest big Nick energy moment of the week, or of the night, excuse me. So now it brings us, so I'm going to open up the phone lines if anyone wants to call in. Phone lines are open for another, we'll go 2 minutes if anyone wants to call in. The number is in the description below. In case you want the link, it is actually pinned to the chat. So if you want to go in there, you can go in there and call in. But we'll offer our final thoughts if no one calls in the next 2 minutes. Because Monday Night Raw is starting in less than an hour, and everyone's got to get their bathroom breaks in and everything else.
Got to take the dog out, got to feed the cat.
We are all bundled up with activities and everything else. But if you want to get your point across and what you're thinking about,
who's coming back?
Yeah, well, so that was what I was going to actually say is, whose surprise returns tonight? What are you all thinking out there? Me personally, I have a feeling Braun Strowman's coming back.
Well, because he was there at Mania. He was slinging. They had, if you actually watched the kickoff pre-show, the 2-hour pre-show, he was in the link behind the bar making drinks without Cody's Wheatley vodka. So you already kind of saw him. So I don't know. To me, it would be like, oh, surprise! I haven't seen him in 100 years. I don't know if like Alexa Bliss is ready to come back. I don't know if Carmella's ready to come back. There was something that they were doing when they showed the montages of their community service stuff. Like Sonya Deville was there, so I don't know if like Sonya Deville's coming back. Like I think she's post injury at this point. I think post wedding at this point.
That'd be interesting. I mean, I don't know if Sonya Deville would be a big like to do to me, but like again, who could be?
I don't know who's. I think.
Out there to me, like Braun Strowman is one that makes sense in a lot of ways. I see Bailey agrees.
I hear Bailey screaming.
She likes Braun Strowman a lot. But not really sure. So moving on, there's always a debut. So who are you thinking in terms of debuts from NXT? Is there any names that you're...
Carmelo's
yours? Yeah, he did lose at Stand and Deliver on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
I can say this. Laya Valkyria, who just lost the belt to Roxanne, would that be a call up for her as well? Because those are your two big stars that lost at Stand and Deliver. Does that prompt them?
If Femi, if he lost, I would 100% concede. He reminds me of the build up that he's getting reminds me a lot of Keith Lee, and that man, they ruined Keith Lee, but I think with him, hopefully they do it the right way. They were just monster NXT champion, went towards.
I think he needs a little more seasoning. Keith Lee came to NXT pretty big.
Well, yeah.
I think he needs a little more seasoning before he comes up. I think, honestly, I know he's great. I think they put the North American belt on a little quickly. But I guess we'll see.
Well put. That's all we got. If no one's calling in, we're gonna close off the phone lines here for the evening. But get yourself something to drink.
Friday, 6:00.
As always,
all over again. We're going to talk about what this crazy Raw I'm hoping we're about to watch.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have Raw, and then hopefully we'll have some thoughts on what SmackDown looks like Friday night.
SmackDown, and if you want to touch AEW, the main event of AEW is going to be Samoa Joe versus Dustin Rose. So also, it's just you just had a Rose and a Samoa Joe, and now you're having the I don't want to say Wish version, but a different version of that same match.
I think, it's going to be interesting, and supposedly the Young Bucks are releasing the CM Punk tape.
Well, that makes me feel super icky.
Which reminds me, before we go, a special shout out, happy birthday to one of our listeners, our regular listener, Steve M. Punk. He goes by the name Steve M. Punk.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you, sir.
Drinks are on me tonight because you're not here and they're free. But, we got a comment in. Let's see who's reading it in. Ni hao, everybody. Hello. Hey, Jen. How's it going? Welcome in.
Welcome.
Got any thoughts, Jen? Well, came in better late than never, right? But on that note, Jen, we hopefully see you next time.
Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be here. We'll be talking. We'll be drinking. We'll be hanging out.
Make sure you mark your calendars. The video will be posted soon, so you can click the notifications, turn those on. Make sure, again, before we go off, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, turn on notifications. We want to see you all. We are about 50 minutes out from Monday Night Raw, the best Raw of the year. Get excited. Get ready. We're looking forward to seeing you all on Friday when we recap this whole week. Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, whatever that is locally for you. We can't wait to hear from you. So until next time, you don't have to go home.
But you can't stay here. Bye.